What is your role in the Big Issue?
I am the team leader for the Big Issue in Bristol, so I'm responsible for the distribution of the magazine, essentially, to the vendors and kind of all of the people that are involved in doing that here in Bristol and the surrounding area.
And what does the Big Issue do or offer for the homeless?
The Big Issue, there's kind of two parts to the Big Issue. So there's the company side of things, which is about the production and distribution of the magazine. And there's the charity side of things, which is focused on helping vendors kind of progress with personal aspects of their lives. So with the company side of things, it's kind of an opportunity to have a legitimate income, basically. Anybody that is homeless, vulnerably housed, or in financial crisis can come to speak to us here, and it's an opportunity to earn their own money legitimately as opposed to begging or crime or any other means of gaining an income that might not be sustainable or beneficial for them in the long run. So we work very closely with them and we provide a lot of support in that side of things. And then there's also the foundation who regularly catch up with vendors and have conversations about their personal progress and their welfare and housing, addictions, physical health, mental health, and we'll kind of signpost them to the right sort of people that can help them with all of those things.
And what is it like working with the homeless vendors?
It's every day is different. There's a huge amount of variety. It's extremely rewarding. It can be very frustrating because you kind of work so closely with these people and you really get to know their background and their stories and their struggles, and you desperately want them to do well and to kind of improve and thrive, and sometimes there are barriers in the way to that actually happening. But like I say, it's also very rewarding when people move on and take steps, and you can see personal progress as well. And yeah, every day is different. You never really know what's going to happen, which is, if you like variety in the workplace, it's definitely a good place to work.
Has your opinion changed since working with them?
Since working with the vendors? Since working with homeless people, I've been working with the Big Issue for about 4 years, and when I first started working here, my main aim was to help people. I was very focused on that. I just wanted to help people, and since I've been working in this sector for a little while, I've realised that there is a lot of help out there. There are a lot of services available, and Bristol in particular is a good place to be homeless, if that makes sense, because there is so much support available. However, it's just a case of whether people are able to and willing to engage in those services. And there's lots of different reasons why people become homeless, which could be barriers to them engaging with the services that are available, if that makes sense. So my perception has changed in that I just have a better understanding, I suppose, of the sort of things that can lead to homelessness and the struggles that people have and what the actual barriers and issues are that people have, I suppose, if that makes sense.
And what is the most common cause of homelessness in your opinion?
I don't know if I could pick one thing. I think if I had to say 3 things, I'd say probably mental health problems, addiction problems, and relationship breakdowns, whether that's as a child or a young person not having support from the family, or whether it's a marriage breakdown or anything like that really can lead to somebody becoming homeless. It's remarkably easy to become homeless. So I think those are probably the main things. And then there's obviously all sorts of other things like just unemployment and literally losing your home if you can't keep up mortgage payments or something like that. But the common factor amongst people that we work with seem to be those 3 main things.
And do you feel like they are judged or misrepresented by the public?
I think there's a lot of confusion about what the big issue is and who we work with, and so I think there's a lot of confusion, a lot of misunderstanding, and people don't necessarily know who a big issue vendor is, what their background is, whether they're homeless, whether they're housed, whether they're what their circumstances are. I think a lot of people assume that if somebody is a big issue vendor, they're sleeping rough and they're on drugs and, you know, they're a criminal and all of this. Whereas actually we get people from all walks of life, and one of the things that we really try to work on is making people more aware of who we work with and the sort of troubles and difficulties that people can face.
And do you think people's stereotype of them are true? If so, to what extent?
No. I think people have a very... I can understand why, because if you don't work with homeless people and you don't have any experience of homelessness or the sort of troubles that homeless people face, you just won't know, and it will just be somebody stood on a street corner with a red jacket on, stood in your way probably and demanding your attention when you're trying to go about your daily business. And a lot of people see it kind of as a nuisance or a hindrance, but really there is somebody underneath each big issue jacket. They've got their own history, they've got their own family a lot of the time, they're real people, and they're not all drug addicts trying to kind of scam people. There is an awful lot of other stuff going on in people's lives that can lead them to be in that situation. And the fact that they are there working as opposed to begging, I think people really overlook that fact as well. These are people that are actively trying to make their own legitimate income as opposed to begging or committing crimes. So yeah, they're not criminals. They're trying to improve themselves and make their own money and make their own way, which I think a lot of people overlook.